Yeah, I saw this.
All right, so you did see it.
Yeah, I was going to talk next time we went out. I was going to bring it up. But good, yeah.
Since this is a national sports radio show, I figured it'd be great to first welcome Captain Kelly Andersen.
Well, thank you.
Do you have like a nickname? Do we need to come up with a nickname?
My nickname's always been puddleduck.
Puddleduck. Gotta text
my
Mike.
email is puddleduck. It was a college.
It is your
nickname.
email, I know that.
It is. That's.
Now, did you give that to yourself or did somebody else?
No, it was fraternity brothers.
Okay.
I love that.
All right, so we'll stick with that. We may come up with something else, but that's it for
My
now.
wife has a few.
I'm sure, but this is FCC still, so we do have to be careful. I know that you went out in a fishing tournament, a week ago,
Yes,
and I believe you medaled.
we did. We took second place.
Before we get into the controversy, talk about a fishing tournament. What is it? How do you determine a winner? Is it most fish? Is it how long you stay out?
Right. Each tournament will have different sets of rules. The one that I was in the other week was a point system. Different species of fish have different points. Other tournaments are total length of certain species, while some tournaments may be the top 5 fish by weight.
So from what you just said, I'm going to go, and I always rip myself. I don't allow you guys to rip me because I do it before you. Not that I don't allow you. I get to it before you do. Right? I rip myself before you guys rip me. So I haven't had a whole lot of luck going out fishing lately. But by what you just said, I would have gotten you a lot of points on whatever that fish was that you said you've only seen 2 of in your life.
Oh, very much so.
So how many points would that have been good for?
That would have been the tournament winner.
Ah, there you go. All right. Whether it's true or not, we're going with it.
Absolutely. As long as it was one of the regulated species in the tournament.
Oh, so
They're
that,
bonus points.
so they could have not listed whatever that was that I thought.
Correct. Like the tournament we fished, a tarpon was worth 90 points. Blacktip shark was 80 points. Cobia was 70 points. Snook, reds. Things that were more difficult to land were worth
With more points. So what was 90 points?
Tarpon.
So what would happen, let's just say the boats go out and somebody put 2 tarpons on the boat before they left. How would you know?
That's where your ethics and your morals come into play.
I heard they were supposed to be alive when you got back.
In like a bass tournament, they have to be alive.
Okay.
In the walleye tournament that we're leading towards, those fish did not have to be alive.
All right, so let's don't beat around the bush. Tell us exactly what happened.
During the tournament weigh-in,
This is unreal.
the 2 anglers brought in 4 walleye. These 2 guys have been dominating the field up there. In,
They're sponsored.
They're sponsored with Ranger Boats and other large companies. They made approximately $300,000 last year fishing these tournaments. So this is big money. This tournament had tens of thousands of dollars in prizes. The tournament director went to weigh their fish, and I'm not clear on how they discovered this, but they chose to open up the fish. When they took out the knife and opened them up,
Well, let me ask you this before you tell me what was inside. Were there many of the same size fish? Like, were these guys the only one that had whatever the fish was? Or were there other boats that had basically the same size fish?
there were approximately 100 boats in the tournament, and the fish were all within the same size range, within a few inches of each other.
So they should basically weigh
Within ounces of
within.
each other.
Okay. What happened when they what happened when they cut it open?
The tournament director said, we have weights in the fish. And they found
How does a fish eat a weight?
I'm not quite sure because I don't catch them with weights. But in this case, each of the 4 fish they weighed in had 2 8-ounce lead weights in them. Not only did they have the 2 8-ounce lead weights in them, these 2 anglers had filleted a walleye
Saw that,
and
yeah.
stuck walleye fillets inside these fish, which that opens up another can of worms with wildlife. But the sad thing is, they're coming in here for tens of thousands of dollars, their egos, and risking everything they've had to build up to this point they're at as pro fishermen. It's sad. It's going to cast a shadow of doubt on every tournament that's out there.
Moving forward.
Absolutely, because if I can go in and I can dominate every single tournament, something's going to be wrong.
Yeah.
People are going to question are you cheating? How are you cheating? Professional bass tournaments, there have been duck kennels that have been discovered that are holding bass. People have cheated in that. They don't really know who it was. There are suspicions. But we're talking tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
And when the money comes in, people cheat.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, I've been involved in numerous celebrity, charity, blah, blah, blah golf tournaments. And, we come in 22, 23 under, and people are like, it's impossible. And you guys know I've talked about, Steve Monroe before. When you have somebody like that on your team, it kind of bothers you because it's legit. This is one of the matter of fact, he was just out at Derek Brooks' tournament yesterday, as the long drive guy. So it opens it up. So when you're doing it the right way, and then people like this, it puts questions in everything moving forward.
Oh, absolutely. And also the unfortunate thing here is the past year, these guys have dominated all these walleye tournaments. People are spending thousands of dollars of their own money to fish these tournaments.
Yeah.
And did these guys really win all these tournaments prior, taking money out of other people's pockets?
Yeah.
So that's the legitimacy that comes in. But one of the greatest things I watched in the video of it was the tournament director. You have one of the anglers standing there just blank faced because he just got caught. And the tournament director held his composure. He said a few choice words, but he told the two anglers they need to leave the area. And then he said to the crowd who was coming in at them and surrounding them, do not touch them, let them go. He was maintaining the composure to ensure the safety of these two cheats, alleged, because they haven't been convicted. I know the police have been brought in.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. I know I say alleged all the time, but if they cut the fish open, and there's weights and there's fillets that were crammed down the gullet of this fish, I'm not sure alleged needs to be said.
Maybe the fish were stuffed prior to them catching them. They had no.
Okay.
It was like we were kids throwing rocks into the pond. The fish
They pre-stuffed fish and let them out, And then,
ooh, this looks like good eats. I don't see a hook in this fillet. Let me swallow it whole. Stick it down. Interesting.
with my appetizer lead.
Real question is, are anglers athletes?
have you ever tried to reel in a shark
Okay. So
or tuna?
So last time I went fishing, I just caught
Those
turkey.
cans aren't that heavy.
We fish. It's a charity veterans tournament each year, and it's a 30-hour tournament. It's brutal. It is a workout. Whether the winds are calm, the winds are not, you have to be on top of your game because you're going to be emotionally and physically drained.
But can anybody win a fishing tournament? It's just the luck of the draw, right? If I fish
No,
when you're
not even a little bit.
I can win.
Actually, in this tournament, you could because it's total number of species.
And I got
you
weights in
catch.
my garage. I'll stuff a fillet. You'll see a 45-pound barbell press sticking out of a fish.
I found it at the bottom. It's down there with the lobster.
And Tournament of Pizza is going to now start offering lead weights and
Yeah,
things on Friday nights. Fried in your favorite batter.
A fried weight special.
The kettlebell fish just won the tournament.
Before I let you go, and we move on to some more disastrous things to talk about what else, because you briefly mentioned it, the fish and game angle of it, of doing something to an animal. Do you see something like that happening?
I do. The ethics come into play because when we're on a boat, not everybody's around. And these guys, they fillet a fish on a boat. We cannot legally in the state of Florida, or any state I know of, clean a fish. We can't fillet a fish unless we're tied to the dock. Or
Do you know why? I know why. Do you know why you can't fillet a fish in the middle of the ocean, Matthew?
International water?
Well, but why? Why can it not be done? It has nothing to do with international waters. There's a reason for it, unless I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Do you know?
I do not know.
Okay. I'm not going to ask Caleb because if he doesn't know, I don't want him to hit me. It's because then you can't prove the size, the length of the fish that you just filleted. So, if the limit is, and I don't know the limits, a grouper is blah, and you fillet a grouper, you can't prove that was either above or below the limit of the grouper, correct?
Very correct.
I watched that fishing game show, or not show, TV show, fishing game. It teaches you all that stuff. Yeah,
But if
Northwood's
you're
Law.
every 9 miles off the coast, you're in international waters, no rule to apply anyway.
That's not true.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's not true? That's what Scientology, like the yachts that's out here off in
with the
back,
casinos.
in the casino.
Well, Fish and
You still
Wildlife
have to
is not-
come. You still have to come through national waters. So you can't bring in. That's why you can't take fish out with you, because you can't prove any of that stuff. Because that's what people would say.
We could go out today and catch 3 redfish. The law says we can keep 1 per person or 2 per vessel. Who's going to know if we bring in 3? We are. So who has to police
Jesus
ourselves?
knows.
We have to police ourselves and
Yeah.
do the right thing.
Don't Santa. He's
Because
watching.
at the end of the day, Matt, you have to look at yourself in the mirror. If you like what you see, you're good.
Nobody likes
Don't.
what Matt sees when he looks in the mirror.
If you don't,
Like
you
what I
got to
see.
change.
You know how many,
I like it a
you
lot.
know how many times I've caught sea bass and redfish, I have to drop it back in the water because it wasn't big enough? It's depressing.
Right. But that's why you can't fillet it, because if you fillet it, then you're like, well, I chopped this part off. I mean, you can't prove anything.
So is flushing a goldfish illegal?
Check
Asking for
your
a friend.
local
I'm asking for,
water
I'm asking
district.
for my 8-year-old daughter.
Well, it depends. It depends if it's the cracker goldfish.
Like the Nemo one?
Yeah, no, the little goldfish that you buy in the bags, for kids. So what do you what do you think? Again, just your opinion. What do you think the outcome will be for these guys?
More money.
They're
more
going to be
exposure.
banned from.
Kelly still never
tournament
said whether
series.
they're athletes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, they're not.
They'll be banned from tournament series. They're going to lose a lot of their sponsorships, and I could foresee a number of
Lawsuit.
Fines.
fines, lawsuits coming.
Well, the difficulty I would imagine with lawsuits is you can't prove that they did it anything before then.
Right.
We can all assume it, but how are you going to prove a tournament last year somebody cheated?
Right.
You can't.
You
So
can't.
again, I just play a lawyer on radio. How could you go back and sue for something that happened that you can't prove anything? So I don't think lawsuits are going to.
It's going to be determined. I'm sure there will be some wildlife charges coming
From
As
this
well.
incident,
from this incident, the tournaments with law enforcement, because there is the theft aspect, and that's what they were attempting to do.
right?
Was
But
steal the tournament.
but again, I'm saying I think they can only go after this tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know how they can go back and prove anything.
The only way it'd probably work
Hearsay.
out is if they say, look, we'll reduce the charges for this offense if you're willing to come clean and admit what
No.
you've done in the past.
I think they're willing to admit that if they can become executive producer of their next tournament.
Oh, bravo.
So maybe they'll
Or
move
they
over
could
to
be
the
in
bass
charge of the
tournament.
committee to oversee
Exactly,
regulation. They know
exactly.
how people are cheating.
You know, at the end of the day, it's too easy to do the right thing.
What are they
Yeah.
athletes,
Respect
Kelly?
wildlife.
Kelly, are they athletes? Are anglers athletes?
I'm an athlete. Caleb's an athlete. He's an
No, he is an athlete. He's played
and
in the
he's an
NFL.
angler.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm a
he's
pro
an athlete.
bodybuilder.
He's
He's
an
a pro
angler.
football player. You're a arms expert, apparently. Now you know all these things about firearms.
I've worked with a number of firearms.
Yeah, he was only in the
Number-
military for a
in
long
a number
time.
of different arenas.
Yeah.
Final couple seconds here. I know you're headed back down south. Just talk to us, and everybody that's listening on what you're doing, which I think is awesome. More importantly, talk about what your son's doing. Kelly told me a story. I don't know if you want to tell the story, do you? Because if you don't, I'll tell it. If you don't want to tell it, I'll. No, I'd rather you tell
go
it.
ahead.
I'd rather you tell
From
it.
the
But
park?
yeah, but if you refuse to tell it, I will. Listen to this story. Go ahead.
All right. My 10-year-old.
You know what? Let's hit this break and we'll do it when we come back. Coming to you live from Tournament to Pizza.
Ice
This,
the military guy?
yes, this is Knockout Radio, brought to you by 8 Man Strong
No
and Staff
respect
Song.
for the kicker.